This video, I'm going to go over the Facebook ads testing strategy that we use to 3x the amount of leads that we're generating within our lead generation business. And I'm going to go over exactly how we're testing, everything that you need to know, even our database and sheet that we keep and track all of our leads and data from. Also, how we're creating the ads in the project management template that you can get, and also all of the metrics, of course, that you need to be looking at to know how to make decisions. And I make these videos consistently and put all of the resources on the resources link down below that you guys can go and get. But without wasting any more time, let's get into it. I'm making these videos showing what's failed, what's working for us, and what we're doing with inside of my lead generation business to find talent, network, and opportunities. So let's get into it, right? Of course, if you've ever ran Meta ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, whatever you want to call them, I'm just going to go with Facebook ads. You kind of are familiar with the structure, right? You have your campaign level, ad set level, and ad level. But a lot of people test with ABO. A lot of people test with CBO. I would say most people are testing with ABO, and this is best practice. You can test with CBO. I just highly suggest testing with CBO if you're doing one ad set, but we don't do that. We do I'm at one creative per ad set or dynamic creative, and you can see like which creative spends more on CBO. But honestly, ABO seems to be the best for us to see results quicker. For Meta to give us the results of what campaign, what creative is actually working, and what we're testing is actually working. Because if you're testing on the creative level, and you're seeing, okay, certain creatives against each other, then Meta will actually spend more on these creatives. If you're testing the funnel or the conversion optimization event that you're doing, Meta will still give you those results on whatever you're optimizing for or testing within ABO. So you'll see that, but ABO is very good for creative testing, and you can see exactly what is working. And the reason why is because ABO stands for Ad Set Budget Optimization, which I went over in my other video, in which you can watch. I'll just put it in the top right, but I go over kind of the whole structure as a whole, and going through all the definitions of things, but I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this. And then on the ad set level, you of course adjust your spend. You of course adjust what conversion event or optimization that you're doing, whether it's leads, whether it's schedule, whether it's submit application, whether it's purchase, or if you're in e-commerce, whether it's add to cart, website visitor, purchase, returning customer, whatever you're optimizing for, you can optimize it within the ad set level. And then this will apply within the ad level where you're actually going to be choosing where this person's going, whether it's an instant form, whether it's a website, whatever. I mean, you're choosing that up here, but you're choosing the type of, I guess, URL, the type of instant form, etc., that they're going to, right? So I suggest if you're testing any funnels, definitely keep it at the ad set level, or I guess conversion event per se, which is why I put it up there. And then ad level is for the creative. So you're going to be creative testing on Meta within ABO. And what we do within ABO is that you'll start to see in each ad set if you have either different audiences that you're going to be testing, which is crucial. And I'll just underline what you can test. Different targeting, which is basically the audience and targeting, pretty much the same thing. It's just in versus interests, in versus, I guess, areas, whether states, etc. But it's still in the audience. And then you can also test placements, but I would say this isn't a one-off test. But of course, you can test it saying only optimize to people on Facebook, only optimize for people on Instagram, or only advertise to people on Instagram. You can, of course, test all of those, and you can pretty much test whatever you want inside the ad set level shown here. So that's what you can do there. Now, we on the ad level, this is a creative testing, or basically how we test. We see on the ad level within ABO that these campaigns will spend more on certain ads within the ad set. So you'll get back data pretty quick, and you'll start to see that certain ads are not spending on Facebook, which means in return that Facebook is optimizing for your benefit, optimizing for the conversion event that you've set and that you've told Facebook to go out and get. So it's going to be spending more on those ads that it knows it can get that event for, which we consider winning ads, right? And of course, you have to look at the certain metrics to determine that, which I'm going to go over. So this is more for the lead database, as you can see up here. There's just a ton of different things that we have here, every single thing possible in which we can track. It may be too much, but we just like to throw all of the data in here and make sure that we have it, right? So there's other things besides Meta in here. There's other platforms. There's server side, which we use, click IDs, other things, and even within our CRM. But of course, you can have that or not have that, but you need to be looking at the metrics right here, which I'm going to go over to make these decisions within the campaign testing that you're doing. So you have your top of funnel, you have your middle funnel, and you have your bottom of funnel metrics. And of course, you just want to look at what you're optimizing for. So if you're optimizing for book calls within your campaign, then you want to look at what is the cost per book call, and then what is the cost per qualified booking. Okay. So out of how many calls do they show, and out of how many calls do they purchase? And then you have your show, you have your close, which I just said. And on your close, you can fire these certain events back to Facebook, which would be the purchase event, which would give it more data and better data. When people are booking in, you're firing the schedule event. And different things there. If you have a VSL funnel, these are VSL metrics. But then this is just kind of the general metrics that you can look at. If you're optimizing for leads, if you don't have any data in your account, this is what I would optimize for. This is usually what we optimize for within any account that we're first starting with, because how can you optimize for schedule or submit an application when you have no submissions and you have no data and you have no people going through this account? You have no pixel data. So definitely worth looking at. I mean, a lot of people say, look at the conversion rate. Of course, it's a metric to see, okay, what type of ads are doing better. You, of course, are getting the hook off of the hook rate, which I went over in another video I'll put up there with the columns and what to look at in Meta. You can see the hook rate, and that's, the percentage of people that stayed past the hook and how good the hook actually is to retain people within the ad. But that doesn't necessarily translate to exactly why we're testing in the first place. Because the reason why we're testing is to hit the KPIs. And what are our KPIs? We need to generate revenue. We need to generate leads. We need to generate clients, either for our clients or for our own business, right? So if the goal is leads, we want to optimize for the best lead, to optimize for our client, to optimize for the sale. So we have to set up our KPIs in order to do that. And that's how you can make decisions on the ads that are actually winning per ad set and the ads that can scale long term, in which you can put in your scaling campaign. So I'll just change the color of this. No, it's fine. So when you are scaling, of course, I had CBO up here, but it's the same thing. So you put the winning ads into the CBO campaign, and the CBO campaign spends at the campaign level, and it spends across all of the ads or just on certain ads that it knows it can get a really good conversion on. So you're setting the budget and you're just letting Meta spend wherever, and you're more testing audiences, you're more testing placements, you're more testing targeting, and then you're more testing other things that you can control down here, like the funnels, like the ad copy, and the event that you're optimizing for. So that's kind of where you test the conversions in the CBO, where in ABO, most of the testing goes on with you're just trying to find winning creatives that then you can put in the CBO and test the bottom of funnel. So I would say ABO, think of it as top of funnel testing. Think of CBO as winning and testing middle and bottom of the funnel. That's probably the easiest way to explain it, and the best way to explain it, honestly, in my opinion, now looking back. So from there, you of course have the same things. You can of course have the attribution, which you would know, and then you get results, right? If you have even more winning ads within the CBO, then you can make winning campaigns that only have the ads that have scaled, and this can be your green campaign. So you can basically take this. You can basically take this. I had a hotkey on my thing, so bear with me here. And and you can add it here, okay? And this now is your green campaign where you're putting all of the winning ads in which you can just focus on this campaign, and this can only hold winning ads, right? But of course, you're still going to get this aspect of ad fatigue eventually, because no campaign's perfect, no ads are perfect. Of course, if you have winning ads that are remaining and lasting for a long time, keep them on. But what you're going to start to see is ad fatigue and creative fatigue. So when you spend a lot, and I mean, if the top, whether you're running a business, lead generation, e-commerce, whatever industry, and you're getting audience packets that work, you're getting ads that work, you're spending, you're eventually going to hit everyone you possibly can within that industry, within that pocket, within that audience size level, and your ads are going to start to fatigue. Of course, you can scale past that, which is what we're doing here, where this is just totally broad and we're not touching anything. And I actually suggest that you always have broad campaigns in any testing that you're doing, in every campaign, and pretty much optimize for broad now with Meta's data and what you can do with your pixel. Of course you want to always test audiences, right? But it's really not necessary anymore. And with this huge scaling campaign that you have and everything that's working, you want to keep it broad, or you want to take that audience that actually is working over here within your original scaling campaign and just throw it down here because it's proven, right? But eventually you're going to hit that market, you're going to hit that cap, and you're going to hit that ceiling. Your ads are going to start to fatigue because that's how Meta works. And that's kind of how bidding works, advertising works. So you want to turn this off, but you're not deleting it. Because what we've seen is some campaigns will fatigue. We'll pause them for a few weeks, few days, I guess a few months. And then we'll turn it on later and we'll actually see these perform again. So don't make the mistake that I've done multiple times, which is turning it off, deleting it, like deleting the whole ad set. You lose all the data, and then you don't realize that actually the campaigns and the ad sets are very valuable to keep if they have spend, because Meta has data within that, I guess, bidding time or bidding campaign, and it can really help you get better results. So don't make that mistake that I did. So I hope this video was valuable. Of course, if you want this lead tracking sheet, it'll be in there. If you want a template of this, I can make this. I can go over this in the next video, kind of, how we're creating creatives at scale, and I'll kind of go over our creative process and all this stuff and how we use AI to kind of automate it, throw it in here, different things. And then this is already in there in the sheet. So, yeah. And then if you have any questions, ping them here. And I'll answer them in the upcoming videos. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.